Hey everyone, welcome back. This week we're going to be reviewing a couple more patterns from the Aquatic Amigurumi by Natasha Tishchenko. Last week we worked on a couple of the beginner projects from this book. If you're interested in seeing them, watch last week's video. This week we're going to be working on the intermediate projects in this book. There are a total of 7 intermediate patterns in this book. I won't be making all 7. I'll probably make 2 or 3. I just didn't want to make a whole lot of these just because they are turning out pretty big and I don't have a whole lot of space for them. I did find out there is an Aquatic Amigurumi 2, which I do plan on working out of, so I don't want to have a whole lot of projects. So here are all the intermediate level projects that you can work up out of this book. First we have Sunny the Angelfish, Joni the Goldfish, Bella the Jellyfish, Spiky the Lionfish, Agnes the Mermaid, Valentine the Pirate, and a little collection of starfish, shells, and little fish. Today we are starting with Valentine the Pirate. He's one of the ones that I've been most excited to. Honestly, he's one of the reasons that I got this book. He's just so unique. Like, he's missing a leg, has his little earrings, his gold teeth, his mustache, his big beard, eye patch, and a little parrot to go with him. He also has some tattoos on the side, which I'm really curious to see how we do those. I don't have a whole lot of embroidery skills, so we'll see how that comes out. And yeah, let's get started. I finished the head today, and the teeth are a little funny. Like, why is he looking at me like that? But I think it came out pretty good. Looks like the picture. But I did run out of stuffing, and I don't know when the next time I'm gonna be able to go to the store to get some more is, so I guess the head is all we got. It still needs a teensy bit more stuffing at the bottom, so I'm gonna wait to close it off, but it's done. It just needs to be closed off, and then I'm gonna have to wait for the stuffing to finish the rest of the body. I'm gonna have to put this project on pause until I can get some more stuffing. I got 2 5-pound bags of stuffing, so I'll be good for a very long time. I finished stuffing the head and fastening it off. So this is what the head looks like. So for Boris, he just had a little round head, and the beard and the mustache were sewn on separately. But for Valentine, it's part of his head. So I wonder if his beard is here, how his neck situation's gonna be, and I don't know if his head's gonna be on a tilt because it's his beard. So I made his foot, but I didn't like the gray color. It was a little too light, so I went with something darker. I don't even think you can tell the difference. At night it was a really stark difference, but now I feel like you can't even tell. Oh, there you go. I feel like there you can see it. I started on his peg leg. I used a gold yarn from Hobby Lobby a really long time ago for my Guadalupe. Something that's interesting about this pattern is that the arms are built from the shoulder to the hand, whereas most patterns are from the hand up. I think my only qualm with this pattern is that I wish it had a little pirate hat. I feel like that would make it look really nice. Because I think with Boris, his hat added a lot to him, because before he had the hat, he looked a little funny. He looked kind of like a baby. So I feel like I wish the pirate had a pirate hat. I just have to weave in the ends on this one and it's done. I'm currently working on the peg leg, which I'm pretty close to finishing. I stuffed the peg leg with a wooden dowel that I trimmed to size. We have a good amount of his body. His head looks really huge when you compare it to his body. It looks gigantic, so I don't know how that's gonna be. I noticed for Boris that his head was too small for his body, but it ended up being covered with the beard and all that, so I think that that's why it was smaller. But his is really big, so hopefully it doesn't look funny. We're getting pretty good progress. I think I'm gonna change the little wood thing that I put in here, because I cut it off right at the end of the peg leg, and I think I'm gonna have it go up in the leg a little bit more, because otherwise you know, it's just gonna move like. But I think that's all the updates that I have, so I'll probably just keep working on the striping. So I finished the body, fastened off and everything. I have both of the arms, both of the ear, and the nose. And then I have the face, which I tried to do the little mustache, but the book does not include instructions on how to make the mustache, nor does it include pictures of how to do the mustache. So I kind of just winged it. I don't really like how it looks, but probably the best that I'll get. And then the nose will just go on top of that. So next I have to embroider his eyes, sew in his nose, his eyebrows, his hair, his beard hair, his gold teeth, all those little details. And then his ears and his earrings. Sew the head onto the body as well as the arms to the body. They do the tattoos and the parrot. Oh, and the belt buckle and the eye patch. There's still a lot of stuff to be done, so it'll probably take another 2 days or so to finish it up. For sure by the end of the weekend I'll have them done. Today's Wednesday. The only things that I have left to crochet are the little belt buckle and the eye patch, which aren't gonna take me more than a couple minutes, but I finished his head, so I put some gold on his teeth. I made the beard hairs, the mustache, embroidered some eyes, sewed on the nose, made him a couple little sprinkles of hair and his little ears with a little earring that I used some yarn to make. I have his arms, and of course we have the body with the peg leg. He does come with a little parrot, which I started. Very simple. I have the little feet and the beak here, so I'm gonna sew them on and then embroider his little eyes and he'll be done. Valentine is the most amazing pirate you'll ever meet. His grandmother Valentina, a woman of strict rules, was sure that the boy should become a pirate. But Valentine loved baking fancy pastries more than pirating, which was quite hard to do on a pirate ship, as there was often not enough kitchen space. After a long sea voyage, he landed in a small port and he decided to open his very own bakery there. He is especially renowned for his cherry pies. They're delicious. Okay, so I finally finished my Valentine the Pirate, and this is what he looks like. My Valentine the Pirate is very big. They have all been way bigger than they're supposed to be because I'm using yarn and a hook size that is way bigger than it's supposed to be. All these patterns are made for sport weight yarn, and I'm using worsted weight yarn, so I'm using about double the size, so they are coming out double the size they should be. But I think he was really fun to make. He's definitely a very unique pattern. I've never really seen anything like him, and I'm glad to add him to my collection. Mr. Valentine has a lot of detail. He has a peg leg, so unfortunately for Mr. Valentine, I didn't glue down the wooden dowel I used for his peg leg, and now it's getting sucked back up into his body. So like the bottom of it can be not as tight as it should be. So I do regret doing that, but I mean, it'll be okay. He obviously has his red pants, his little belt with the gold buckle, his blue and white striped shirt, and then he has a very big blue beard with little blue beard hairs, which you just kind of sporadically put on. He has little gold teeth, a big blue mustache. He has on his eye patch, which I sewed it on. It doesn't specifically say to sew it on, but I did just because I didn't want the piece to get lost or anything. He has a little sprinkle of hair on the top of his head, and he has a little parrot. Parrot doesn't have a name, but I named it Jerry. And then for his tattoos, the tattoos in the book, all it shows you is the picture. It doesn't have a guide or any sort of instruction on how to do them. It's just a picture of the final piece, so you kind of have to just wing it. For his arm, I did do the one in the book, which is the little anchor. Difficult to do. I definitely wasn't going to do the sailboat because this was difficult enough, and I don't really like the sailboat tattoo that much, but his description did mention that he loves to bake cherry pies in his free time. So I decided to tattoo a pair of cherries on his other arm, which I think is really sweet. Ties in the red, and it just gives him a little bit of his two personalities, him as a pirate and him as a baker. And it gives him a little bit more lore, you know, so I like it. I would have done a cherry pie, but embroidery is very difficult to do. The only thing that I really don't care about Valentine, which is another reason that I feel like these sorts of videos are very important, is the back of him. I just don't really like the way that he's built and shaped. He just looks kind of funny from the back. You don't see it very much because obviously all the pictures are from the front, but if you have the book and you're really working through it, you can kind of get some pictures of like the process where you realize what his neck is. But pretty much his body has like a flat neck, and you crochet the head and beard situation separate, and then you just sew it onto this neck, and it gives him a weird sort of hunched back look, which you can't tell so much right now because the bird and the arm are in the way, but he has a really weird hunched back position that just makes him look a little awkward. And then his arms are built to have shoulders because he's wearing like a tank top, but they just kind of look funny to me. Like, I don't know, the back of him just looks really silly. His face, because of the way that it's built, is always just going to be on the top of his head like this, and you won't be able to see it when he's like this. Other than that, I really don't have any complaints. He's very cool. I really like his little gold teeth and his little earring. I made it with yarn, and he was a very big commitment, and he also is taking up a lot of space because he's so big that I just been feeling like I don't want to continue. And my second option was going to be Sunny the anglerfish because I really like the design of this one. However, I feel like working up this one has just really cemented the idea that these are going to take a really long time, and I'm honestly starting to feel a little bit of burnout on these projects. They're very cool, they're very unique, they do take a very long time, and typically that's the kind of thing that I like, but lately I've just really been not wanting to do such long-term projects. But I don't know, I'm just feeling some sort of burnout, and I really would rather not try to push myself to work on these and then I end up, you know, making it worse. So I think instead of Sunny the anglerfish, I'm gonna pivot and kind of cheat. I'm making the starfish and little fish and seashells from the back of the book. These patterns are also rated 2 stars, so technically they do exist as one pattern, one 2-star pattern in this book. Altogether they are one pattern, so it's gonna be still gonna take a little while because there's 7 different pieces, but it's not gonna take nearly as long, and it's not gonna take up as much space. Okay, so I'm making fish number 1, and I'm using the same colors as the book, and he's definitely giving Flounder from The Little Mermaid. I think this is how he's gonna go, and these are his little top pieces. He's very cute. This is what I've got so far. They're really fun to make, honestly, because of how easy they are, which makes me so excited for my next book project, because they're all going to be smaller pieces, I hope. Really excited for that. I do think that I want to come back to this book because the patterns that I had on my queue were patterns that I genuinely did really like. I just think I'm kind of burnt out on it, so I'm going to return it and probably check it out or buy it. But for now, I'm just going to take a break on it. Okay, quick check-in. I have 5 out of the 7 pieces done. So I need 2 more fish and then I'll be fully finished. I think for the little tiny fish, I'm gonna use these 2 colors. I'll use the light pink for the belly and then this color for most of it. I think that would look the best. And then for the other fish, so I don't really like the design of this other fish. He has like a weird little mouth kind of thing. And I was thinking, if I don't really like it that much, I'm just gonna use yarns that I don't like and I'm trying to get rid of. I was gifted this yarn from somebody's stash. It was just an old piece of yarn that they didn't care for anymore. Not really something that I gravitate towards for anything, and I've been trying to figure out what I can make with. This is all I have, and I think I'm just going to use it for this fish. I don't really like the design of it anyways, so might as well just use up the yarn. I think I'm going to pair it with this brown and white just to kind of stay in the same sort of realm. And I think it'll look at least okay. He's a little grumpy looking fish, so he gets grumpy looking colors. We finally finished our second 2-star pattern of the Aquatic Amigurumi, and I wanted to show you a little bit of a recap of the ones that we made. So the first 2-star pattern that we made was Valentine the Pirate, which took the longest, but he's really cute and he has a lot of little details that make him extra special. And then our second 2-star pattern is actually 7 different things. I'll start off with the fish. Now, none of these little characters have any names. This one's my favorite. I made him in the colors of Flounder from The Little Mermaid, and he came out so cute. I definitely would make these and have them as like little bag charms or keychains. These are so cute. Honestly, this might be my favorite pattern from the whole entire book, which is pretty crazy because all of the other ones are so detailed and like unique and everything, but for some reason this little fishy is just so cute. That's what he looks like, and he did not take very long. None of these took very long. They were all very fast projects. Here we have the little fish. This is fish number 1, and I gave him some blush to make him a little bit sweeter, and I embroidered the face because since they're little, they're likely going to end up in the hands of my nieces, and I would really rather not have safety eyes as possible choking hazards. Embroidered face it is, and he's super sweet. I love him. Fish number 2 is actually my least favorite from the bunch. I think that if the mouthpiece wasn't on there, he would be much higher on my list, but the mouthpiece is just weird. Like, he looks like a little grandpa fish, I don't know. And I think I definitely overstuffed mine, so he looks extra funny, and I was gonna exclude it, but it's part of the pattern, so I decided to just put it on. And I made it with a yarn that I don't typically like, but I think I really liked it with this pattern. But yeah, I added a little blush to see if it would soften him up a little bit. He just kind of looks funny. I feel like if it didn't have the mouth part, he would be a nice little fish. But yeah, he has this little weird mouth bit that's kind of silly. He looks weird. But yeah, I really can't take it apart though because it's like crocheted on there. Had it been like a sewed on piece, I could have just taken it off, but it's crocheted onto him, so he'll just be a weird little grumpy fish. All of the patterns except for this one are no sew. This one you have to sew on the fins on the side and the top fin, but the mouth and tail are crocheted on. So this is the only one with sewing in it, which is actually pretty nice because the other patterns that have been very heavy on the sewing, so these were kind of a nice break, except for this one. This one did have a little bit of sewing, but not too bad. Then we have fish number 3, which is another little simple little fish. This one took absolutely no time at all. It was so fast. But yeah, no sewing at all on this one. I could definitely see these being used for market because they are just very quick. Honestly, this one is just my favorite, and I feel like it would be a really good seller. And you could really add this to a Little Mermaid, which honestly I think that's what I'm gonna do. My niece really loves the Little Mermaid, and she has been asking me for a mermaid, and this book has a mermaid pattern, so she was asking me to make it in the colors of Ariel, but I just didn't like that mermaid. I've seen so many other mermaids that I prefer, but I think I will add this little fish to it, and it'll just be so cute. And maybe I can find a tiny little crab. I wonder if the second version of this book has another little section like this, because I love these little accessories. They're super cute. But anyways, those are the 3 fish that come in that part. And then there's also a starfish, which I made in a little peach color. super easy again. This one has no stuffing in it. It was just super easy. You could do this in variegated yarn, and I'm sure that would come out really nice as well. And the last 3 pieces in this pattern are the shells. So first we have shell number 1, which is this little cone shaped shell. I like the colors. I think I should have maybe picked 2 colors that were a little bit more different from each other to kind of give it a little bit more contrast, but honestly I think it's pretty cool. This would be great for like little decorations. The next one is shell number 2, which I really liked this one. I thought it came out pretty cool. I did pink because I wanted to spice up the colors, you know, try a couple different colors. So I have this pink and white, and yeah, it's really nice. Honestly, you can blow up the pattern, make it a little bit bigger, and these would be great coasters, which could also be market makes, which I don't know why I'm talking about markets. I've never done a market. And then our last piece is shell number 3, which is very similar to shell number 2, but it has a different border and swirly. I don't know what that's called on it, but that's the back, that's the front. So all of these little patterns are included as one pattern. I know it's a little bit of a cheat because it wasn't like a full fleshed out character from the book, but they are a lot of characters, so hopefully it kind of makes up for it. I definitely think that this was faster than making one single thing, you know, because these were super fast to make. It took me less than a day. The reason that it split into 2 days is because I started really late yesterday, so it ended up eating into today. But you can finish them all in one day, and I'm a pretty slow crocheter, so if I finish them in a day, they really are very, very fast and very easy. They are labeled a 2-star pattern skill wise, and I think for him there wasn't anything that was particularly too difficult, but I think the reason that he is labeled as a 2-star is because of all the detail and just the amount of work that goes into him. I'm assuming the peg leg was part of that too, but honestly, the peg leg was even easier than doing this, so I don't think that was horrible. I think the embroidery on the tattoos and the sewing and all these little details on his face, all of that contributes to him being a step up from Boris, but really he was not very difficult. Any intermediate crocheter can pick it up for sure. So since those count as one pattern, I have officially made 4 patterns out of this book, 2 1-stars, 2 2-stars, and I do plan on coming back and making a couple 3-stars, but for now I'm taking a break on it and moving on to something else. But I really have been enjoying every single pattern in this book. It's been unique, gorgeous, colorful, and just absolutely well thought out. I really enjoy the fact that each character also has a little backstory. I think it really adds a lot of character to them, a lot of personality. And that's everything that I have for you guys this week. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys next week. Bye everybody.